All right, so here it is. Welcome to the weekly advanced English learning with me, Dr. CD. And I like to share a little about my week and then turn it into a lesson every week. And I have just completed the lessons that I teach over the weekend. And now I will share it with you. I start out by talking about peppercorn. And I ask if anyone knows what peppercorn is. They often don't know what peppercorn is. It's important that you say peppercorn, not pepper, because if you say pepper, it could refer to chili peppers or bell peppers. And as you can see, this is from my garden here. We planted these vines. Peppercorn grows on a vine, and we've had it growing for several years, but it's hard to actually gather some because we have these birds that eat it. And I actually like birds coming to our land, and I don't really I'm not angry with the birds. I actually want to attract birds. I have enough fruit. I want to have be plentiful enough to attract birds, and actually birds, they eat seeds and poop them on our land. We get some interesting trees and plants growing that could have only come here by bird poop in the first place. So by attracting birds, we could actually enrich the diversity of our land. And there we go, talking about peppercorn. And now, after a couple of years, we have enough peppercorn that the birds can't eat them all. So we do have enough. And so I like talking about the peppercorn here and what you usually see. I know in the West, peppercorn is not so popular. Now that it dries quickly and it will turn black and you can crush it from there. But to eat fresh peppercorn almost seems like you have to be here. I mean, I guess you could gather it, freeze it, package it or something, but it's wonderful to eat fresh. It has a very strong flavor. It's still pepper, so you can have that peppery flavor. And most Thai people, when they see this, well, I don't know, but I had a couple of people. It makes you think of one thing, pad ki mao, and I'm going to talk about that and what it is. But first, we're going to talk about the significance, the historical significance of peppercorn. Medieval European demand. Peppercorns were so highly prized in medieval Europe that they were used as currency and kept with other treasures. Global exploration. I'll highlight a couple of these words they will be popping up again. But I like to introduce these words and give you a couple times to see the word, even if you don't know what the word is. You see it here, spurred. And don't worry if you don't know it. I introduce them and then repeat them and then ask you and then put them in context. That's the best way to really learn new vocabulary words are by using it. Reading, right? Reading is generally there, but this is, of course, pronunciation practice, listening practice as well. So the demand for peppercorns spurred global exploration as Europeans sought direct access to spice-rich Asia. And this word is going to come up again too, so make sure you know what that is. Kitchen staple. Peppercorns are a kitchen staple worldwide today, available in various forms and remain a symbol of the spice trade's rich history. We'll be talking about that word as well. We have many times. As you notice, if you've been listening to these weekly, I do use the same words sometimes, try to build it up. That's how you remember, not by rote memorization. I mean, you could that way, but to be able to use it is more important. Like I'm always using these words, and then I'm like, I don't even know if I use that correctly. I don't even know what the word means, but then I look it up. I'm like, yeah, I did use it correctly, because that's actually the best way. When we speak, we just use our vocabulary, and sometimes we might use the wrong word, but sometimes I do. But using words is the best way. So we're going to talk about this and say, what does currency mean? Peppercorns were so highly prized in medieval Europe that they were used as currency and kept with other treasures. Again, that's exactly this word sentence that we already had learned. Currency means something that you use for trade. In today's society, we talk currency is synonymous with money for the most case, fiat currency. But in fact, whether you're using puka shells or cowrie shells or gold or peppercorn, you could use it as currency to trade for another good. And then this word treasure, I like saying, what is a treasure? When I hear treasure, I think of treasure map and treasure chest. There's a Chinese word for treasure. There are different examples. We can think of valuables, and it's also a verb to treasure something, right? But that image, I think, always pops up in my head. I wonder if it does. The direct translation, the word treasure, it triggers that treasure chest, treasure map for me personally, but it doesn't necessarily mean treasure chest and treasure map. So I go back to that word sought. This is interesting because we use the word, people know the word, they know how to use the word. Do you actually know that this is the past simple of a word, of a verb? And it's an irregular verb because it doesn't sow. To sow is sought, the past tense of to sow, S-O-U-G-H. I don't even think that's a word. No, it's not. There's the symbol and then the word is, oh, there's the Chinese word for it. And it means to seek, right? Literally, the word seek, the past tense of seek is sought, not seeked. So that's something, actually, I've asked native English speakers, they don't know. They know how to use it. Sometimes they don't know. I've come across it. That word is staple. We talked about staple in the past. There's a sentence you can read, the same sentence we had earlier, to see what does staple mean. And staple means literally like a necessity, often refers to a food, rice, wheat, some sort of staple food. But staple also refers to, right, what is a stapler and what do you put in a stapler, right? A stapler is this thing over here, and you put staples in a stapler. So there we go there. And it's probably the last time I'm going to do that. I've kind of drilled that one in the last couple of weeks. It'll pop up again, but I'm going to move on to some new words. Words that you see in today's lesson will come up again. That's how you really learn new vocabulary words, are by use in context, so you can understand them and build a feeling for them, like an emotional feeling almost, right? That's important. Quick question. What was the name of the trade route from China to Europe? Went through all these different areas. Of course, that is called the Silk Road. And then we're going to go here. Now, as you noticed in the first one, I had a little headliner and sentences below. In this one, I have headliners, and just real quick, go ahead and match them to the right headline. These aren't in order. This one does not go with this one, and this one does not go with this one. So peppercorn, originally from India, connected cultures globally, including those in China and Thailand, by being traded along the Silk Road. What does that go? Connected, connections must be there. There's that word again, spurring. Remember, spur. Oh, we know it's a verb, right? We saw it before, spurred, spurring. What does that mean? Again, it will come up if it's in italic. This word, integral, will come up as well. In China, white peppercorn is integral to both cooking and traditional medicine, believed to aid digestion and have warming properties. That one, obviously, you see in China, you see words like medicine and cooking, so that's going to be matched with Chinese food and health. Fresh green peppercorns in Thailand add a distinct heat to many dishes, showcasing the country's bold flavors. That, of course, refers to Thai cuisine, which is the last one left, but you can meet it. Again, integral, look at that. We're going to see that word again. It's going to come up, but I like having access before just giving you the word, the definition. Real quick little activity just to make sure we know the word. Digestion, most people know. Medicine, this is going to be medicine. I like using some herbal medicine. I don't even want to show pharmaceuticals because I've always had a negative impact on that, and it's funny that now that's becoming popular, but you can look at some of my research from early pre-COVID times that I have a negative stance on using chemical properties to disrupt our body systems, much like the ancient Chinese medicine, although that has been lost. A lot of it was lost actually by changes to there's a lot of reasons. Connection here, medicine there, medicine there. This represents digestion, but this we would call the digestive system. This picture, if you ask me to say what is that, I would probably say it's the digestive system. Digestion is the noun of the action taking place of digesting food. And real quick, easy one, just to pop in the right word, just make sure we got these. The internet helps people make a connection with friends and family who live far away. Eating healthy food is good for your digestion. When you have a cold, you might need to take some medicine to feel better. Again, I would highly recommend not doing that. Let your body naturally take its course. That's always been my last case scenario to do any sort of medical intervention, because you're going to ultimately make your body weaker, and strengthening your immune system is the most important thing to do, which is what I like about the ancient Chinese medicine, medical approach that you would see. Thai also has it. Actually, so do the Greeks, so do the Egyptians. It's always been there. There is a lot of hidden mysteries, and most of modern day medicine are really just trying to isolate these chemical compounds and taking them away from their natural state, which is what we have evolved alongside. And now the word integral is for you. What does the word integral mean in the context of the passage? Optional, necessary, uncommon, complicated. I'm going to go back and let you look at that one more time. In China, white peppercorn is integral to both cooking and traditional medicine, believed to aid digestion and having warm properties. So going back, what does the word integral mean? It's necessary. That is the word. It's necessary. It means that it's necessary. Now that's a good vocabulary word to learn, and I'm gonna write that down. You're gonna see that word again. It's good because when you're writing and talking, you don't always want to just say important, important, necessary, necessary. Learn words like crucial, vital, integral, and they have slightly different meanings. Like vital means that has vitality, like life. That's actually like life. It's necessary for life. Integral is I don't even know for sure, but to me, again, it's these feelings. Integral is just like it's part of. It's like naturally part of. It's like fundamental. I hear integral. To me, I have this like emotional connection to the word integral. It's like it's integral, right? I mean, that's how we should understand words. We should know how they're used. And my feeling for the words might be different than other people's feelings, but we generally have similar feelings for words. And just learning a word, the exact translation in your native language, might not actually carry the same emotional attachment. And in fact, sometimes the direct translation of a word is not the word you should use. You should use the word. So by learning, when you're learning English, to learn English from English and not learn it from your native language, you're going to better understand the emotional connection to these words. And that's true of any language. I do the same. Learning Thai, I'm always trying to learn it through Thai and understand that meaning, because often the direct translation is not the correct word to use in context, in a situation. There's actually a better way to say it. You would say something different. You wouldn't say the exact same thing you would say in your native language. That's very important. I'll be saying that again. Now I'm going back. Now we're at that word spurred, and I'll give it to you again, but let's read the possibilities. The word spurred in the passage most nearly means prevented, encouraged, ended, or discovered. And we're going to go back to that original sentence that I had here. That had spurred. The demand for peppercorn spurred global exploration of Europeans sought direct access to spice-rich Asia. So spurred. Okay, the demand, the fact that people wanted peppercorns spurred the exploration around the world, or at least into Asia. And let's go back now to that, look at that, and choose the correct answer, right? And although grammatically those are true, knowing that in that context and understanding that it caused, right? It caused and it helped to make it happen. It influenced it in some way. The correct word is encouraged, right? It encouraged those that travel, that global travel. Now we have 4 true or false questions. If it's false, I want the correction for the true or false statement. So peppercorns were originally from Thailand. That's false. Originally from India. In medieval Europe, same as cinnamon, another gold valued. Like, I mean, I think cinnamon was worth more than its weight in gold sometime. That came from like a bark and maybe Sri Lanka, but basically through the Indian route into the Silk Road. India has a lot of spices, and luckily they grow well here in Thailand. We got a lot on our land, and I'll be talking about those. In medieval Europe, peppercorns were sometimes used as a form of currency. That's true. Peppercorns are only available in black and white varieties. That's false. There's white and black, but there's red and green, although the fresh green ones end up turning black. At least mine ones do. But there are some that turn to a lighter green color, and there's like two different shades of black, and there is actually no such thing as the color black. It's actually really just like a dark purple or brown or something. So and next one is going to be these the demand for peppercorns led to significant global explorations. That is true. Some reading comprehension. How did peppercorns influence European exploration? Again, these are answers. This is a lesson. I'm just giving you the spoken part. These are really where I'm looking for expressions. Like, can you express yourself? I just said it. I don't need to really repeat myself so much, but this is an opportunity to practice expressing, reiterating maybe what I said or adding your own ideas. These are opinion questions as well. How did peppercorns influence European exploration? Of course, they're looking for it. It's hard to find. They're looking for it. It's valuable. They want it. So they're going to go get it. Describe one use of peppercorns in Chinese traditional medicine. Again, most of my students being Chinese, they might have some other knowledge and they can teach me what we learned in this lesson. If that's all you're going by, it was digestion, to help with digestion. It has natural warming properties, highly yin, obviously could balance some yang attributes one might have. And then what role did the Silk Road play in the spread of peppercorn? Again, I mean, you can answer it however you want. That's what I'm looking for. This one is, if you could invent a new variety of peppercorn, what unique flavor or property would it have? This is actually, I did this because it spawned and I got to talk about jelly beans in, in Fairfield. I think it was I'm from Northern California. So, I've been there. It's an amazing factory. And I talked about the belly flops, which are the ones that stick together. They're extra cheap. You can get them. Talk about all the flavors. They're not familiar. A lot of people aren't familiar with jelly bellies. They have just these crazy flavors. My favorite is the buttered popcorn. They have Coca-Cola, mango lime and caramel corn and root beer and all these different flavors. And the next question is, imagine being a medieval spice trader. What challenges would you face transporting spices like peppercorn along the Silk Road? Again, this is just creative thinking. There's going to be many challenges, obviously, finding it. Even you go to India, you got to find it. You don't know their language. And when you do find it, you don't want them to know how valuable it is, because it's growing natively in their land in abundance. That they don't know the value it has back in England or Europe. So but then of course you got it. Now what are you going to do? You got a bag full of peppercorn, and you're traveling on the Silk Road. Are you going to get jumped? Are you going to get killed? Think about how many people were killed for peppercorn. I'm sure there are many murders took place. Whether they knew what you had, or even if they didn't know what you had, they'd assume whatever you did have would be valuable. Again, creative thinking. This is not actually a slide for where I talk. This is for where my students talk and express themselves, engage in conversation. We actually have a lot of dialogue. The reason these are only a half hour is because I'm talking the whole time. My lessons are 1 hour, and this now leads me to the pad ki mao, which this is not just a picture I took from the internet or AI created. This is what I created. I just created it this week, and it is the pad ki mao, which literally means it's an old famous Thai food with strong flavors. The name means stir-fried drunkard, right? A drunkard is somebody, you could call it drunken noodles. I mean, it's hard to do an exact translation, but whatever it is, it definitely means ki mao. Ki mao is like a kind of negative term. Ki means shit, literally, and mao means drunk. Pat means stir-fry, so it's like, but ki is a word to make something. If you're, ki giat is lazy, or something, it's like add that. So again, this is just to give an example of how the Thai word to give an exact translation it's pad kimao. So I'm going to say pad kimao in this situation because that's what it is. Has this something to do with it being stir fried, drunk? Why? Why? That might be a word I use again. Intriguing. So remember, it intriguing means kind of like interesting, but more than interesting. Interesting is like intriguing is more like, again, I have these emotions connect to it. Intriguing is like, I want to learn more about that. It's a little different than interesting. Interesting is like, oh, that's interesting. Intriguing is more. It's like, so it's like, I'm gonna do this. If something's intriguing, I'm gonna do this. If something's interesting, I don't know. I have a different feeling for it. Maybe different people have different feelings, but start getting the feeling for these words, not just the exact translation. It will help you in proficiency, but more so fluency. So I'm talking about it. Here's theory one. It's spicy enough to sober up a drunk person. Now, all of these grow on our land. Garlic, we bought our garlic, but we have these growing on our land. I call this basil. I call the whole family basil, but in Thai we have many different. I don't know if this is in Thai, if this is menglak or horapao or which one it is. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of basils, purple and green. In English, it's like basil. We have holy basil. Basil. There are names just like this one is not ginger. This is galanga. I didn't know that word prior to coming to Thailand. It's different than ginger, but it's in the ginger family. So, again, we've got that galanga, one of the types of basil, chili, garlic, all of these, as well as the peppercorn, fresh peppercorn. It really has to be fresh peppercorn for this pad kimao. One popular theory is that the dish is so spicy that it could sober up a drunk person. The spiciness and bold flavors of the dish are thought to be ideal for sobering up after consuming alcohol. The high level of heat from the chili peppers used in the dish is supposedly potent enough to jolt someone out of their drunken state, and the ginger can help alleviate hangovers. Again, there may be words in there that you don't know, but I want you to feel them. I'm not going to go into them much. We're not going to question on them, but they will come up in the future. Words like sober. Sober means to be clear-minded, so it's the opposite of drunk. You should always be sober. I mean, ideally, but you could have, there's other, if you're sleepy or tired or intoxicated in any form, I would say you're not sober. Generally, when you hear the word sober, you think of its counterpart of being drunk, although that's not necessarily true. You could have a sobering thought. A sobering thought is just like the idea that, like, wow, boom, reality hit you hard. Then there's some words. Potent is like strong enough, but like potent is like, to me, I hear the word potion, like potion, potent. It's like strong. Jolt is, I think of like an electric bolt. Again, I don't know if that, to me, jolt is like, zzz, like boom, wow. I woke up. Again, this is how these are my feelings, the way I use this. Hangover, a hangover, most of my students, actually all my students really are under, their middle school and high school and stuff, so they shouldn't know what a hangover is, but they maybe have heard of it. Maybe you have. Most of my students here or people listening here are probably adults looking at, English as a second or third or fourth language, and I'm hoping that I can just help build your vocabulary and understanding, and more so really get the feeling of these words so you can use them in context. Alleviate is to heal, to make feel better, to alleviate a hangover. I hear ginger is good. If you eat ginger while you're drinking, then the next morning you're not hungover. I luckily never, either luckily or unluckily, never. I don't drink anymore, but I did throughout my 20s, and I'd black out all the time, got into a lot of trouble, but I never really had a bad hangover. And that, unfortunately, maybe if I would have, it would have, I think a hangover is a natural way for your body. It's basically a hangover is alcohol poisoning. If your body doesn't tell you that, hey, you're drinking poison, you should stop. Like there are some people genetically, they can only have like a couple beers or something. Lucky you, man. I would have never got into any trouble. For me, it's just like, I just got to cut it out completely. Theory number 2 is there's also a whimsical tale that the dish was first created by a drunken person who threw together available ingredients in a wok. This spontaneous combination of flavors and ingredients resulted in the delicious dish known today. Whimsical, not a very common word. I'm not going to be using that often, but it's kind of like funny, fantastic, fanciful, and a whimsical tale. I don't know. I visualize like a little, I don't know, English gnome on a mushroom or something telling me that there's going to be a whimsical tale. I don't know. Those are my connections to it. Wok. It's funny. Wok, I believe, is from a Cantonese word. A lot of the words that are come from Chinese that, like, you don't know what a wok is. You don't know what a wonton is. You don't know what dim sum is. Like, what? Aren't you Chinese? But these are words that come from the Cantonese language, which, although they use the same writing as Mandarin, which is the what now there's been a big push to only teach Mandarin. Most of my students are only know Mandarin. Anyway, a wok is a frying pan, but traditionally it's going to be the one that's rounded. It's not as common. I never had one growing up. It's good for stir frying, right? You high heat, quick moving, short time. Fry it, get it hot, but you don't want to burn it. You can't set it down. That's a wok. But it's funny because I have to teach. I mean, that's an English word, the wok, but it comes from a Chinese word, but it comes from Cantonese. So if you're Chinese, you have to learn wok, not whatever it chow. I don't know, gui chow, something chow gui or something. I don't know, whatever it is. And then this spontaneous, that word will be coming up again. This spontaneous combination of flavors and ingredients resulted in the delicious dish known today. Well, we will be talking about spontaneous. I'm going to give it to you in one more context. The Cobb salad. In American cuisine, we also have dishes with interesting backstories or names that reflect a unique aspect of their creation. One such example is the Cobb salad. It's said that the Cobb salad was created at the Brown Derby restaurant in Hollywood by its owner, Robert Cobb. The story goes that Cobb mixed together leftovers he found in the kitchen late at night to satisfy his hunger. Just like the story of Pad Ki Mao, the Cobb salad came about from a spontaneous combination of available ingredients, resulting in a dish that became a classic. So again, I think, I don't know what the Cobb salad has, chicken and eggs and avocados. I don't know, maybe that's what this AI created picture. I just popped this into ChatGPT and said, hey, boom, make a picture to go with this slide. Again, the idea is spontaneous, not accidental, right? Spontaneous is just no plan. You didn't plan something, but there is intent. It's conscious to some degree. Again, whether it's in a drunken stupor or because it's just late night and you're taking whatever leftover, you don't want to take anything else out. You're just going to take the scraps from the day. There it is. Voila, it's made. I asked my students, are there any equivalents in Chinese culture? Obviously, whatever your native language is, your native culture, your native land, or even something that from another place that you might be familiar with. Give me some more examples. I have some examples. I'll share them with you. Again, I'm going to also get into the accident. There's a difference between spontaneous and accident, right? Spontaneous, again, being something that just kind of happens in the moment. You react more than it's reactive, more than proactive. Accident is just like you didn't know it was even going to happen. I asked for some examples. I have some examples. Nachos. Nachos were invented by a Mexican chef named Nacho for a group of U.S. military wives in Mexico. He topped fried tortillas with shredded cheese and jalapeno peppers, and thus Nachos Especial was born. Again, I go into talking about tortilla chips, the difference between tortilla chip and a potato chip. People don't know. There's people out there that don't know. Again, nachos can be created and recreated, put a variety of things on top. I have a joke for you. What do you call the cheese that belongs to me? It's my cheese. It's nacho cheese, right? Nacho cheese. There you go. I like that one. The next one is bubble and squeak. I've never heard of this, but just when I was researching for my lessons, I try to get as much information on this topic. And supposedly it's a British dish made with leftover. There's that word again, leftover. That makes sense, right? You're understanding what the word means in context. Leftover vegetables from a roast dinner. The name comes from the sounds the vegetables make while cooking. which are bubbling and squeaking. In the pan, bubble and squeak, these are both nouns and verbs. Think about a bubble. We know what a bubble is. It's also a verb, right? Water can be bubbling when it's boiling, but so can chemicals. By adding certain things together, it's bubbling, or it could just be a bubbling sound, or maybe somebody when they die or you choke them out and they kind of like they make a bubbling sound. Um, and then squeak. What is a squeak? I ask, do you know what squeak? You might heard the word. It's a noun, to squeak, or I heard a squeak, but really, what is a squeak? What things make the sound of a squeak? There's an animal specifically, is a mouse. We would say a mouse squeaks. Different animals. I mean, you could say like a pig squeaks, but really, squill is the word we use generally. But a person could squeak as well. Little kids, when you pinch them, if you were ever to do something like that, hypothetically, they would squeak. And a door, right? A door would squeak open, like, or the floorboards, even when you're walking on an floorboards in an old house, they kind of squeak and creak. Different things that you might hear. This tarte tatin, French word, so I might be mispronouncing it. It's an upside down apple tart. It's supposedly created by accident, but so this is an example, not spontaneous. Although there is an aspect of spontaneity in it. They accidentally cooked the apples for too long. They were cooking apples for an apple pie. They cooked them too long for whatever reason. They thought they could rescue it if they put the dough on top or the pastry on top. Again, I'm not familiar with this. Is what I did on my research, and then did that would seal it so the oxygen doesn't. You're right. If there's oxygen, something's going to burn. If you can cover it up, it's not going to burn. And then the pastry maybe was almost ready, so they just did that for a little while and then took it out and flipped it over. Different than an apple pie, right? In apple pie, you create the pie, you put it in the oven, and you take it out and you eat it. This is like you put something on the bottom, so the apples are going to caramelize and they're not going to burn, right? Because with oxygen, something burns. When you put it there, it can kind of high heat, but no oxygen, and sugar is going to caramelize. In America, we have the pineapple upside down cake. Again, you put I think it was canned, it's some like Dole contest. What can you use? Like the canned pineapples, sliced, put them face down, put the cake on top, and put it in the oven. And there's sugar there. Again, no oxygen, so it's like kind of caramelizing. And you flip it over. I asked my student, is there anything that that you make, and actually the top is on the bottom? You cook it and you flip it over, and there is 8 treasures sticky rice. There's you put some fruit and nuts on top. Put sticky rice, could be mixed with sugar. Put it in a bowl. You actually steam it, take it out, and then flip it on top. So the top is what was kind of marinating on the bottom, and also getting this. Again, there's usually some sort of, if there's sugar in it, there's some sort of like caramelization, because that sugar was heated with and compressed, and not let any air in there. So there's that. Yeah, I asked about, again, in my lessons, I'm not going to use all my Google and stuff. I don't know what kind of rights, I don't want to lose my rights again. Like, I uploaded all my fight videos from YouTube. I had a really nice YouTube channel with a lot of all my fight footage, all my anyway, I was posting them up. It said I didn't own the copyright. They ended up shutting me down. I lost so many of those. I don't want to lose that here, because this channel has other things too, but I don't really trust YouTube too much anyway. That's why I've also got, if I'm talking about anything controversial, Spotify and Rumble, but that's not what we're doing here. This shouldn't be controversial. We're just talking about learning English, and I do have family stuff on this one. Now I keep all my videos in multiple places. You might be watching this. If you do subscribe to me, you're going to get other videos as well, because I talk about the development of my land. This actually is the main one. I'm talking about my life, so I kind of talk about everything anyway. And I talk about this one, katsudon, or katsu. Now katsu, actually, that's in one, wale wa kinan no wale ni katsu, on my side, which means today I will defeat yesterday's me. And it uses that word katsu. Again, that word actually is not the same word. They don't use that character in Chinese. My students didn't know that, but they could kind of figure out what it means. But it's funny, because this is actually I think it's an English food, breaded pork, and they would eat it with gravy or whatever they eat it with. But in it's a very popular Japanese food. I mean, just like tempura, which came from Portugal, but it's like part of their culture. I mean, it's theirs. They've got their own style to it, and because when the word cutlet sound to them when they pronounce it, it sounds like cuts. Cuts means win, to win. Students often eat this because it's good luck. Win, 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 right? And then I share a couple of my from Thailand. This tung tong is bag of gold, right? It looks like a little bag of gold, a little money. I see it translated sometimes as money bag, but I'm doing it again. You can call it money bag because it looks like a bag of money. So maybe that's better. Again, that's an example. I translated the exact translation, bag of gold. Although when I see it in a menu, that I'll see tung tong, and then in English it says money bag, and that makes sense kind of because in context, a bag of gold, we think of a pot of gold, right? I mean that, and it actually looks like a money bag. So actually, again, this is direct translation, but it would make sense to say money bag, money bag. But I'm usually teaching, but and you don't say gold bag. Gold bag doesn't make sense. If you say gold bag, it'd be like golden bag. You're describing what kind of bag it is. If you said bag of gold, that makes sense. Except in I don't know, for me, I don't know, Western culture or English speaking American, I don't know. I don't really say a bag of gold. I would say a pot of gold, bag of money, or a money bag. So it makes sense to say that. Last one, this one, Khao Tom Huang Hoc is elderly person's white hair or something. This is sticky rice, banana inside, and wrapped in banana leaf or something, and shredded coconut on top. It looks like a. So again, these are to spawn. These are given for you to practice speaking. So that you need to have an actual lesson with me, but to learn some of these words, which I will be repeating. A lot of these words that you saw, words like spontaneity or spontaneous, although we will learn different forms. Integral, those words will definitely come up again. And I've got some review, but we're not going to go that because we're already at 37 minutes. So that wraps it up for this. I'll see you next week. Hopefully, this is 2 weeks in a row. There's no reason for me not to do this, except for that I'm lazy. I spend all the time on this. My style of teaching is like, I teach a lesson once. I will repeat myself later in the future, but it's like, I don't want to teach that again. That's why I don't like working for the companies. Well, that's not why. There's lots of reasons why. I mean, it's easier because they provide you with all the material, but it gets boring. And I like liking what I teach, and I like, and my students can recognize that. They recognize, hey, I make the lesson each week. This is going to go boom, go away. I might take pieces from it, bring it back like I did the here review, right? Tropical fruits, natural disasters, tools, countries. Those are reviews from weeks before. These are all things that if you're interested, you could contact me. I have a couple availability, but that's not why I'm doing these. I'm doing these just to get them out there. I'm pretty booked up and full anyway. But I mean, if you're interested, if you like this, I'm willing to do some more things and just get a build up video kind of database is really what I'm trying to do here right now. So this is just one of my many things. I've got my podcast, of course, on YouTube because we go into controversial issues. I do the podcast with I just do little like clippets here and tell you to go over to Rumble or Spotify. But here I do talk about my land, all the food that we make. That's all here, clean, good fun. Things in Chiang Mai that you might want to do. I try to cover different areas and all that. Why not? That's what I'm doing. I want to create this digital what do you call it? Just, I mean, presence, digital presence. And this is one of the things I do. This is who I am. I'm a farmer. So, and I'm big on, obviously retired martial artist, but I'm still highly more in the body and the mind and the philosophy and the psychology and the health. And these all kind of come together, and I always incorporate it. So I'm teaching English, but I'm also talking about my life, and I'll talk about the same things that I talk in my podcast. I talk in the in videos, and that's that. We'll stop it there at 40 minutes, a little longer there for you, 10-minute bonus.